Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow. And I Want to Grow is all about that, right? But with our guests, it's a little bit different. With our guests, it's all about them helping others grow. Now, before I start the interview today, I just want to say one thing. We're here today and we've got a very special podcast. There is no commercial value in this whatsoever. We are interviewing individuals today because they are making a real difference for everybody here in Qatar. Umar, please introduce yourself and tell me what you do.
Morning, Steve. I'm Umar Azme, and I'm the Registrar of the Qatar International Court and Dispute Resolution Centre. A bit of a mouthful, QICDRC for short.
It's phenomenal. I came to meet you yesterday just to have a bit of a brief beforehand. And I've been in company formation for quite a few years now. And when we were talking about the QFC, we would always look up and say, yeah, it's governed by English law. And you are the people that govern and look after the QFC.
So we're the default court for problems that come out of the QFC and the companies in the QFC. So we were actually set up by a law in 2005, the Qatar Law number 7 of 2005. So we are actually a Qatari state court, but we have a special jurisdiction in relation to matters concerning the QFC or the QFZ.
And I want to get over that. You said Qatar court. Mm-hmm. It's a country. The country has put this into place. They've got incredible individuals like yourself. And as I said at the beginning, you're helping others grow. Sometimes in difficult times, but you're here to be able to help them through that process. Can you tell us a bit about the process that you go through here?
Yeah, of course I can. Now, so if I take you back a few years, back to 2005. So the state, of course, is blessed with natural resources, but it wanted to diversify its economy into different areas. So it sets up what we call special economic zones. The QFC is one that focuses on professional services, banking, that kind of thing. The QFZ, focusing on logistics. There's also Media City and the Science and Technology Park. Now, all of those bodies will have a court or a tribunal where, as a matter of course, cases will go. So at the moment, we are the default body for the QFC and the QFZ. Media City companies are also registering at the QFC, and therefore their disputes will come to us. The idea is that we will provide a very, very familiar environment. Now, I say familiar in terms of language, in terms of procedure, in terms of the judiciary, for people investing in the state, whether that's regional investment or foreign direct investment, or of course, local Qatari investment. But one of the key things is that we do things both in English and in Arabic. So that provides familiarity for native Arabic speakers, but also for native English speakers who may not be familiar with the way things work in an Arab court system per se.
You've got recognition from all over the world. Why is that?
So I think what they wanted to do when they set us up is be quite diverse in the judges that we appointed. Now, the judges are appointed by the Council of Ministers. They are judges of the state. But what we have uniquely, again, is judges from a number of different jurisdictions. We have judges from 10 different jurisdictions, from the US, across England and Wales, France, Hong Kong, Singapore, China, Australia, South Africa, to name but a few. And they have taken some of the most senior judges and the most eminent legal practitioners to be judges here. So bringing that expertise from different legal systems down here in Doha.
I remember having this conversation with you yesterday, and you said that you believe that this is probably one of the best in the world.
Yes, of course I would say that.
Of course.
But there are a number of distinguishing features that I would say make us a superb court. First of all, the expertise of the judges. I've just highlighted some of those particular jurisdictions, and so we cover a lot of the globe. And we also cover uniquely both the common law and the civil law perspective. So, for example, judges from America or England or Australia, common law tradition, or judges from France. We have superb judges from Qatar, and our Chinese judge will cover the civil law tradition. So that's one. Secondly, we don't charge any court fees. So in systems around the world, when you file a case, you might have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in some circumstances. We don't charge anything. So if people come and file, that is all done for free. And that is a real significant aspect of our system, because that does not impede access to justice in any way whatsoever. Anyone, rich or poor, can file with us. We're bilingual, as I said earlier, so we allow people to plead both in English or in Arabic, and we will translate all of that free into the other language. Again, it's access to justice that we're really concerned with. And if I can pick a fourth, there are many more, but we'd be here all day if I had to go through every single one. Our waiting times. We process cases very, very quickly. We follow a process called proactive case management, which means we really drive the cases through, not just with the lawyers, but also internally as well. And an example is our smaller value cases. We have a small claims track which pushes comparatively lower value cases through under 100,000 riyals. Those cases from start to finish, so from when the case is filed to the case being handed down or the judgment being issued in English and in Arabic, it's about 32 days. So it's very, very quick. So it's speedy justice. As they say, justice delayed is justice denied.
You are highly respected, back in the UK, highly respected lawyer and barrister. What made you decide that you wanted to come to Qatar?
So this opportunity is one of those very rare ones in which it was completely unexpected. And often the very best opportunities in life are ones that you're not expecting at all. So I initially qualified as a barrister. I then re-qualified as a solicitor. And in 2022, I was sent the job description, which I hadn't seen independently. And someone said, look, why don't you apply this? It's really interesting. So I applied, and I was very lucky to be interviewed. The interview panel was a relatively high-powered one. So the president of our court, Lord Thomas, former Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, Sir William Blair, former judge in charge of the Commercial Court of the High Court of England and Wales, Her Honour Francis Kirkham, a former senior circuit judge in England and Wales, and the CEO. So I was in a very small room in Lincoln's Inn Fields with Lord Thomas and Sir William Blair, and the other two were on the video link being patched in, one from the Midlands and one from here. And to my astonishment, about a week later, they emailed me and said, do you want to, when can you join us? And this is sometime in May 2022. The work in the UK was very interesting, but looking at the job description, the amount of responsibility and the opportunities for growth in terms of the court were too good to turn down. My role as registrar, which I mentioned at the beginning, British viewers will automatically think of a doctor working in a hospital registrar, but it's quite a multifaceted one. There's several aspects to it. So I'm a quasi-judicial figure, so I can issue directions to parties. I'm the costs judge, so at the end of a case, when one party wins and one party loses, and they have to decide how much of the losing party's, the winning party's legal costs the losing party has to pay, that comes to me, so I have to write full cost judgments. I've got a wonderful team in the registry, whom I manage. There's also the Judiciary, whom I manage directly, and there's an ambassadorial role in amongst all of that, doing really interesting things like this. So the opportunity to have all those things in one role was simply too good to turn down, and it's been a wonderful 3 years.
Did you ever realise that the legacy that you could build here was of this stage?
I think it's difficult to understand until you're actually here. So I arrived in October 2022, just before the World Cup. So the country was buzzing, it was full. There were people from around the world. And what I found was a very, very highly respected court, which was doing things really, really well. And I see my role as kind of a custodian. We've had a couple of registrars before me. I'm sure we'll have many, many more after me. But if we can leave the institution in a better state from which we found it, then I think you're doing a good job.
When somebody needs the court and they need to deal with stuff that's very difficult and complex sometimes, people's got the first thing, they tend to run away from it. They want that possibly to fade away. But when you've got a problem and you've got to come to court, you've got to face it head on. The one thing that strikes me with this place is that everybody is so friendly and helpful. How important is that for the people that come to you?
So my view, and I know my colleagues share it, is we're a public service. We're here to help people, no matter what side they're on. And so an open doors policy, access to justice is critical. So if you look at a lot of the things you've just mentioned, or you might have experienced yesterday and today, that's the kind of thing we're trying to get across. If anyone has an issue, they can just turn up in person and they'll get an appointment. As long as someone's here, they turn up in business hours, you can come up from downstairs and talk to one of the team about the problem. Now, we can't provide legal advice. We have to remain impartial. But what confuses a lot of people is the procedure. It can sometimes be unfamiliar. So we'll help people with the procedure. We've put out a lot of guides, a lot of guidance on the procedure. All of this is in English and in Arabic. And during the litigation process, we are accessible during business hours, on the telephone, via email, and we'll always make sure people are steered in the right direction in terms of the process and procedure. We have also got two very, very valuable pro bono schemes, so effectively providing free legal advice. We have panel law firms who assist us. We've got what's called the pro bono scheme, and that is for cases that are already filed here. And if someone can't afford legal representation and they really need it, we will then reach out to one of our panel law firms who will provide free representation until the end of the case. We've also got something called the Legal Clinic, which viewers might be familiar with. It's kind of like a law centre back in the UK, similar service to a CAB. So if someone comes with a legal problem, it doesn't have to necessarily be related to this specific court. We will give them, through panel law firms, a free 30-minute legal consultation, and that advice is confirmed in writing. Now that can help people because often they might launch into litigation which might not be appropriate, and the lawyer, before that costly process might start, might say to them, look, this is not the route to go down. Or conversely, they might go to a lawyer and say, look, I'm not really sure, have I got anything here? And the lawyer will say, yeah, you do, this is what you have to do. We broadcast all of our cases live. They're all live streamed. We want people to see exactly what we do. And there's another maxim from a former Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. So we're all about accessibility, open justice, and assisting people.
And you touched on briefly about the clinic. I want to go into so many different subjects with you. AI for one, how you're utilising that, because that's really interesting. But this clinic that and you give the abbreviation for the Citizen Advice Bureau, right? And I remember back in the UK, and I'm 59 years old, but that was one of those people, that was one of those organisations that helped thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to get over difficult situations. That must be very proud for you to be able to do that.
It's very satisfying. We launched it last October, and we've had tens and tens of people coming to us. Now, all one needs to qualify for the legal clinic is either a Qatar residence permit, a Qatar ID, or be a Qatari company registered somewhere in the state, either under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry or the QFC or one of those other zones. So anyone can come in. We have a very, very easy online form, and we will put them in touch with a law firm, and they'll usually have their issue dealt with within 7 working days, confirmed in writing.
And that's why I made that statement at the beginning. There's no commercial aspect for this. I'm not here because you're paying me to come here. I'm here because of the story. And that's just the kind of things that people need to know. What the country's doing for their citizens and also the expats here, to what extent, and your wonderful team that you say that you're part of. The wonderful team that's also adding to that. And then you've got all those things where they're in a really dark place probably, where all of a sudden you can give them guidance and support. That must be really rewarding.
It's very satisfying, and already that legal clinic has helped a lot of people overcome, as you've said, very, very difficult issues. And it's nice to have a very, very open door policy where people can come in and we can help them get the right advice that they need and might not be able to afford in the first place. Now, my colleague, whom you're going to be talking to a bit later, is the pro bono lead, so she'll give you a lot more information about this clinic, but it's one of the things that we're most proud of.
When you say about the unique selling points that you've got with it, everything's televised, everything can be televised on a global basis, how important are those things to the people that are here?
So most people, unless they're lawyers, aren't in court very often, and you don't necessarily want to be in court very often. We understand that. But if, for example, if you have a case coming up in December, and you know your case is happening in December, and you're not really entirely sure physically what happens. Where do you stand? Where do you sit? Who speaks first? Where do the judges sit? Courtrooms can be intimidating places, but we want to try and strip all of that away. So what people can do is they can come. So on your left-hand side, we've got a public gallery. So anyone, when a court hearing is on, can come and sit and listen. But equally, they can do it from the comfort of their home or their office. So by the time they come to court, if they're a litigant or party, they already know some of the things that people find most confusing. Who speaks first? Where do I sit? How do I address the judge? So we really want to strip that all away and make it it's never going to be a comfortable place, but we want people to be as familiar as possible before they come through those doors.
But the one thing that happened to me yesterday, and I'm lucky, I've never been in court. Yeah, exactly. So when I came in here, it's quite intimidating for just somebody to come in. And if somebody's coming in here from a business owner or organization, it's kind of coming into an area where it's not comfortable. But it looks like that you take people through that process so that it's easier. Instead of running away from your issues, this is where you can embrace them.
Yeah, no, indeed. And it's not just the open doors and the live stream. We have a lot of guidance published on our website, both in English and in Arabic. So we have a user guide, which is effectively a book or a pamphlet, if you want to call it that, which runs through the entire life of the case. But what it does really clearly is it breaks down all the rules in very plain English. It's specifically designed for non-lawyers. So that breaks down everything. So if they want to know, well, how do I address the judge? It's in the user guide. How many days do I have to respond to this particular document? It's in the guide. So there's a lot of guidance out there. And for lawyers and for academics and people who are more interested in legal things, we've also published a book earlier this year, April 2025. This is called Azmeh and Nickel on the Law and Practice of the QFC Civil and Commercial Court and Regulatory Tribunal. Again, a bit of a mouthful, but this goes into a lot more detail about all the cases. It's divided up thematically. So if you want to know what our cases are on employment law, there's a chapter on employment law. So that also breaks down the case law for people.
One of the questions, because I try to put myself in somebody else's situation. I empathise with what somebody's going through. And one of the questions I did ask yesterday was your website. And it was something that you're very proud of, to look up and say, look, it's very self-explanatory. It's quite simple to kind of educate yourself into what to expect, what not to expect. So these are the times where people need you the most, or need something along these lines the most.
Yeah.
And your book, but it seems like you've been on fire.
There's been, I feel, and I know the whole team across the whole court feels that, this is again, a public service. Constantly need to improve, constantly need to work at what we're doing to make it better. But on the website, for example, we have a chatbot. We've got multiple layers in terms of help that people can receive. There's a chatbot which can guide people. You can then call, you can email, you can come in physically. Yesterday we had people who just turned up with a relatively complicated legal problem. They just called from downstairs, had no idea they were coming. They came up and we spent half an hour discussing things. So again, very open and very accessible. And on the book, this one is yours. It's been dedicated to you appropriately for your podcast that you're hosting.
Thank you so much indeed. That's really special. And I think what you're doing here is very special, because again, when we were into the company formation, it was always a unique selling point for us, in sense of saying, yes, you're governed by British law. But that was where the story ended. And that's where I felt that I could have done more, especially when I could have introduced them, instead of just saying it's covered by British law. I'm so proud of what Qatar's done to be able to bring these to people that are going to be going through a tough time. Okay, and it's going to be somewhere that they can help them get through that tough time.
Yeah, no, they've done a very, very good job. I mean, the concept of this type of place supporting the QFC or the other special economic zones is completely critical, and the state is very, very supportive. We've got wonderful premises, the judges are excellent, and we are supported in every step of the way.
We've got back in the UK, which you were very predominant. Back in the UK, we had hundreds of years of experience when it comes to law, courts. What is it like for you to now be kind of pushing things forward constantly? How different is it? How does it make you feel?
So it's a real team effort, So obviously the registry, we focus on the legal work, and that's the sort of core business that goes through the court. But we have lots of other departments that support the entire court as an entity. And without any of those, none of this would be possible. We're very, very lucky in that the personnel that have been chosen are all very, very good at their jobs. The president, as I said, is a former Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales. And our previous two presidents also were former Lords Chief Justice of England and Wales. So very senior British judges with massive, massive amounts of experience. The judges also support that endeavour whenever they're called upon to do anything, formally, informally, they're always very, very helpful. And the administration, the president of the court and the CEO work very, very closely together on the strategic direction of the court. So all of that's going in the right way, but obviously it's critically dependent and completely contingent on the actual people in post. And we're very, very lucky that we're doing very well on that count.
You seem to be moving at such a speed. What's the next things that you see is the way going forward? What kind of things are you thinking about to keep yourself relevant?
Well, you see, our caseload has expanded significantly. So since I joined in October 2022, in terms of the number of judgments that we've issued since then, we've had 56% of the judgments ever since October 22, and the first judgment was in 2009. So our caseload has shot up quite significantly. So it's one of the main challenges, which at the moment we're meeting with room to spare, is to try and maintain that standard with a significantly increased workload. So that's first and foremost very, very important, because of course a court like this, what people see is the product at the end of it, the judgments. Are they sound? How is the administration dealing with my case? So if we can keep that up, that is a really, really critical component of our growth going forward.
Because that must be something that's put to you sometimes, is, are you going to be independent? Are you going to be straight down the line? Are you influenced in any way? But it kind of, as you're saying, with all of these things, with the case studies, right? On case studies of law, that must be lacking to be able to go to reference of what people have done in the past. That must be because it's ever evolving.
It is. I mean, and one of the, again, it goes back to this word accessibility. So all of our judgments are published on the website very promptly in English and in Arabic, so people can see exactly what the judges have said. And they're all fully reasoned, and you can see, okay, even if a decision's gone against me, I can see exactly why, because the judge will say, well, this is the decision I've made, and here are the reasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course they can appeal. We've got 2 divisions in this court. We've got a first instance circuit where the trials will happen, and then we have an appellate division. So you can appeal, or at least seek permission to appeal, from a trial decision up to the appeal circuit. And that gives you a significant amount of comfort that if something's gone wrong and there are proper legal grounds, it'll be corrected.
In all of your career, what you've achieved, do you feel the responsibility on your shoulders?
I really enjoy my job, actually. I look forward every morning. I get up early. I probably get up about 5:30 in the morning every single day, and I really look forward to coming to work every day. And I'm lucky, because that's not always the case with everybody. And of course, we've all had jobs where you don't necessarily get up and think, okay, I'm really excited to get into the office. I really enjoy it. So I don't really feel any burdens in that sense. It's something that I love doing, and it's a joy every single day to come in.
Yeah, it must be. I get that energy from you. And it's kind of so good. And I'm so honoured to be able to be with you today, because it is I'm in front of somebody that's making a difference to so many different individuals.
Well, you've been very kind. As I said, it's a team effort. We're trying our very best.
Of course.
And we always seek feedback from people. So whenever we do anything, we always ask people, what could we do better? How did that go? There's a section on the website where people can give feedback. So we're very keen to hear from people about their actual experiences. And we do change the way we do things. If people say, well, actually, you know what, this could have been done a little bit differently.
This is probably one of the most proudest moments in my life, and I'll tell you why. Because I know it's not easy to do business here sometimes, and there's a lot of frustrations. And I've missed this so much, it's untrue, because I didn't realise there was something like this. You just thought about court. I don't want to hear anything to do with court, luckily, right? But to know that there's that backup, that support, and knowing people like you and your team are there, is unbelievable. And I want to be able to through our podcast, in a small way, let people know that support is out there for them to go through difficult times.
We want to get the message out about what we do and why we do things. And as I said, people are more than welcome. If anyone's listening, they're in the country, they're passing through, or they live here, I would urge them to come in, have a chat with the team, have a little look around. We're always welcoming of guests.
And I ask this to everybody, and it's probably off a little bit of a topic, but I want for people to look at what they're going through in their lives. If you had a message to give your 15-year-old self, what would it be?
Wow, that's it's not that many years ago, obviously, because I'm very, very young.
You are very young, and I want to kick you a few times, really, to be quite honest.
Message to my 15-year-old self. I think it's quite difficult at that age, for me at least, to figure out exactly what you want to do. Because, there's so many things that you would like to do, but you're not really sure. In my career, I've tried out a number of different things, and that allowed me to focus on something I really, really enjoy. So I would say embrace trying as many things as possible before it gets too late. Because as you know, with age, options just narrow, right? They're usually not as wide as
You're
they
right,
are.
you're correct.
So I would say try as many things as possible, and then try and work out from that what you'd like to do. More importantly as well, what you don't like to do.
Okay, so my last question I'm going to have for you is if somebody was in a little bit of a dark space right now, and they needed your support, what advice would you give to those people?
In terms of legal dark space, or
legal dark space?
And they're here. They're in
Qatar. They're in Qatar.
They're in the country. Well,
Yeah.
I would say, if you don't know where to go, we will always guide people. So even if this is not the right place to go, we will guide people. That's the right court. this is the right tribunal, that's the right option. So call up.
You've been an incredible guest today. I'm so glad that I've come to spend this time with you. I hope you're the best for the future.
Thank you so much.
And keep up the great work in
Thank you very much.
This wonderful place.
You're always welcome here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Umar.
so much.
Thank you
Real
so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this one today as much as we have. These are very special people, and it's about the individuals in these establishments. I'd like to congratulate Qatar. I'd like to congratulate the individuals in this place. It's a fantastic place where they're helping others grow in difficult times. Thank you very much for listening this week. Until next week, bye for now.